Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise for a few brief moments, Madam Speaker, to make a brief intervention in this budget debate, and to say from the outset that I give my full support to the budget as presented by the Minister of Finance with no amendments. Madam Speaker, much has been said about the budget, both inside of this Parliament and outside of the Parliament, and there's not need to speak for very long on the matter, Madam Speaker. Just to say, Madam Speaker, it's been a long time. I've been in the government since 2000. It's a very long time I've not heard interest parties come out publicly and support the budget. And so I really want to compliment the gentleman from the Business Forum, and I guess the DIC, for the General Secretary of WAU, Madam Speaker, who publicly supports some of the measures in the budget. And I cannot tell you whether the gentleman supports the government or he doesn't support the government, but he publicly supported some of the measures in the budget, even saying that he had not analyzed it fully, but there were some things that hit him from the start and he supported it. I also want to thank and compliment the Dominica agent, Madam Speaker, who expressed public support for the budget, Madam Speaker. And I'm sure she must have been speaking in relation to the relief on disposable diapers, better known as Pampers. And we can come back to that a little later, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, last Thursday, I took the opportunity to attend a graduation in my constituency, Clifton. And that was where some 48 young men, Madam Speaker, from Granby, from Grand Fond, from Roseau Central and Cottage, were graduating from an apprenticeship program in home construction. And Madam Speaker, it was there that, we were part of cabinet and we supported the apprenticeship program and the national employment program of this government. But Madam Speaker, looking at these 48 young men, Madam Speaker, and I asked myself, had it not been for that program, where would these men have been, Madam Speaker? 17 of my youngsters, Madam Speaker, many of them high school dropouts. They have been dropouts for the last 3 or 4 years on the block. Today, Madam Speaker, I see these guys going to work with their hammers, their chisels, their saws, their tips, Madam Speaker. And they were part of a construction brigade that constructed about 7 homes in my constituency, Madam Speaker. I understand too that in Grand Fond they did a building in Granby and in Roseau Central. I think they're still working on one in the Yampi Stock Farm area, Madam Speaker. And I say this to highlight the importance, Madam Speaker, of this national employment program undertaken by the Roosevelt Skerrit-led Dominica Labour Party government, Madam Speaker. Because, Madam Speaker, it's one thing to talk about how many jobs you can create without saying exactly how you're going to create them and where you're going to create them. Oh, in agriculture, in tourism, in carpentry, in construction, just all over the place, Madam Speaker, but not being to home in on a particular program, and it's exactly how many people that you can realistically employ, both for short term and the long term in that program, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, I really want to congratulate the ministries. It was the first time, as far as I can recall, that we had seen 3 ministries collaborating to ensure that our young people were taken care of. And so the Permanent Secretary and Minister for the National Employment Program, the Minister for Youth and Sports, and the Minister for Housing, Madam Speaker, they have to be commended for bring their resources and bring their forces together to ensure that our young people, our young boys in particular, Madam Speaker, could see the wisdom in being part of this national employment program, Madam Speaker. And while I'm at it, Madam Speaker, I must say that I have a list in front of me which indicates that 26 plus 17 young persons in my constituency are in fact now engaged in that national employment program, including one university graduate, Madam Speaker, who graduated from Cuba sometime last year, and she's now gainfully employed, Madam Speaker, with a pretty decent salary as part of this program by the government. And I say this, Madam Speaker, because this is probably one of the most innovative programs brought about by this Dominica Labour Party government, especially in this very difficult time. And so, Madam Speaker, we have to compliment the Prime Minister for seeing the vision, for sharing the vision, and having his ministers buy into the vision that we can make this thing happen. And to say, Madam Speaker, that this is not the end, it's going to continue, Madam Speaker, and if we have to find the resources to do it, well, Madam Speaker, we will charge the man with the purse to find the resources, but we have to keep the National Employment Program going, Madam Speaker, because we believe that this program, it has given us a very good partnership with the private sector, Madam Speaker, and I'm very, very happy to see that the private sector is coming on board with the government to ensure that we can move this country forward. Madam Speaker, I'm not sure whether you watched, Madam Speaker, the leader of the United Workers' Party at the Arawak House of Culture on what night it was? Last Tuesday night, Madam Speaker. I know it will be very painful for you to watch that for 2 hours and 20 minutes. For anybody, Madam Speaker, to look at this thing for 2 hours and 20 minutes, Madam Speaker. But maybe you could have listened. But, Madam Speaker, I describe this like Lennox in Wonderland. That's the name of the movie, Madam Speaker. It's a comical, theatrical play, Madam Speaker, written and directed by Isaac from Joseph Isaac, Thompson Fontaine, and Joshua Francis, Madam Speaker, written and directed by them, Madam Speaker. But while Joseph Isaac, they're wasting his time preparing this thing with Lennox, the landlord in Portsmouth throwing his whole bakery outside on the sidewalk by the non-school in Portsmouth, Madam Speaker. Whole bakery. Because when I said, Madam Speaker, publicly, that he had sunk a bakery, Madam Speaker, and I further said that R.B.D. Douglas once said that anything that can take water, you must be able to make money in it, Madam Speaker. And there it is that you might have a bakery. All you have to do is with water, salt. Some people just put a little lard in it if they feel like, bound to put the lard in, Madam Speaker. Just turn it. You don't even have firewood like in the old days. Just turn on a switch, chuck the bread inside, half an hour, put it outside. You have no work to do, Madam Speaker, because you have a thing turning the bread. So you're not even like kneading it like we used to do in the old days. Just mix it in a mixing bowl. You roll it, chuck it in the oven, half an hour you put out, and here comes bread, Madam Speaker. And this is the
one thing, chuk is a Creole word. Translate.
To put it, Madam Speaker, right, in the bakery, Madam Speaker. And for you to allow, and at that time, Portsmouth had 2 bakeries. Portsmouth had a large population. So bread never enough in Portsmouth. So the bread selling, but the man just not making any money because he cannot manage it, Madam Speaker. And these are the guys who want to come and manage this economy. An economy that the Dominica Labour Party has struggled with from 2000, bring it to a level, Madam Speaker, and now these guys want to go and wreck it. And so these 2 little children, they wake up next morning, they saw this thing, and they're going to tell their parents, Mommy, all Mr. IROC thing outside by the road, Madam Speaker. And that is how we got to know that he was thrown out, Madam Speaker, of the building because he could not pay his rent, Madam Speaker. And there are many other things he cannot pay, but here is not the place to discuss it. We'll find the appropriate place and the appropriate time to discuss it. Madam Speaker, we're referring to this thing they had at the House of Culture as an alternative budget. I refuse to call it that, Madam Speaker, because the basic principle of a budget, you have to have 2 sides. You must have a revenue side and you must have an expenditure side. So as far as I'm concerned, what was presented in that comical play, Madam Speaker, Lennox in Wonderland, was a piece of his campaign manifesto. That it was, Madam Speaker. And they accuse us on this side of intending to present an election budget, Madam Speaker. And so they ran ahead. Well, it's election time. And normally in these small islands, Madam Speaker, at these times you find governments normally do these nice fancy things, pie in the sky, however you want to call it, goodies, and brothers call them goodies and sweeteners, to entice people to vote for you, Madam Speaker. And so they were expecting that this is what Honorable Roosevelt Skytte was going to present, a pie in the sky budget. And so they ran ahead, Madam Speaker, and presented something they thought would be a bigger pie in the sky, Madam Speaker. But again, they were duped this time because this budget had nothing to do with electioneering, Madam Speaker. We have said consistently that election or no election, we are not going to take this country back down the road where we came from in 2000, Madam Speaker. When our country was blacklisted by every single international financial institution you can think about. Where's the OECS one, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, but there's the World Bank, Madam Speaker, the IMF, the CDB, Madam Speaker. We were blacklisted. And there is this notion that nobody has ever seized the country. So you can go out there and run up your debts, Madam Speaker, leave on overdraft, and nothing happened to you. And that is why, Madam Speaker, in his manifesto, Madam Speaker, he said that he intends to operate this country in a fiscal deficit from 2 to 6%. For how long, Madam Speaker? It's like, Madam Speaker, you get married, you took a little loan in the bank for the reception and Sonia little party, and you tell your wife for the next 6 months we're going to party. We're not going to pay light, we're not going to pay water, we're not going to pay TV, we're not going to pay SAT, we're not going to pay mapping, we're not going to pay we're not even going to pay like the loan, Madam Speaker, because nobody cannot buy us, Madam Speaker. Only to find, Madam Speaker, they cut your light, they cut your water, they take your TV, they cut your SAT, Madam Speaker, and the bank looking to repossess what you have. And remember, Madam Speaker, the province of Taiwan took the Grenadian government to court over a similar matter, Madam Speaker, when the Grenadian government refused to pay their debt to the Taiwanese. And the Taiwanese won the case, Madam Speaker. And what did they do? They got an order that every single revenue stream coming into the Treasury, Madam Speaker, would be deposited at a bank inside of the United States. And so, Madam Speaker, the navel string of the economy of Grenada was severed, Madam Speaker, because there was nothing coming in. But moreover, Madam Speaker, you get blacklisted for doing that. So yes, you can live on deficit, yes, you can live on overdraft, but there's a limit to which you can carry this thing out, Madam Speaker. And these plans outlined in the manifesto of the United Workers' Party, we will be running this deficit for a very, very long time, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let's speak of galloping poverty and unemployment, Madam Speaker. But here I have with me an extract from a document submitted by the Caribbean Development Bank, Madam Speaker, in addressing the country poverty assessment in 2008-2009. And it says, Madam Speaker, that the unemployment rate at that time was 13.9%. That is in 2008-2009. While, Madam Speaker, in 2000, it was 22%. So under the watch of the United Workers' Party, the unemployment rate was 22%. And between 2000 when we came in, under serious pressure, Madam Speaker, we were able to reduce that in 2008-2009 by 13.9%. Now, Madam Speaker, the United Workers' Party may choose to believe or not to believe. And like they have done on so many occasions, Madam Speaker, deny professional information, deny professional advice, Madam Speaker, when given. And that's why I say, Madam Speaker, they're in Wonderland. Because they seem to believe that Dominica is an island by itself, in a bubble, Madam Speaker, and just floating in space. And nothing that happens around you does not matter. It doesn't matter to them because they do not believe in the global economic crisis. They say that doesn't exist. We use it as an excuse. They don't believe in trade liberalization. They say that doesn't exist. So none of the financial prudence, Madam Speaker, that is expected based on reports submitted to you by renowned international organizations, the United Workers' Party does not believe in it, Madam Speaker. And so I would not be surprised if they do not believe in the report put out by the CDB, which says that in 2008-2009, the unemployment rate was 13.9% in comparison to 22% in 2000, Madam Speaker, or when the United Workers' Party got thrown out of office by the people of Dominica. It also says, Madam Speaker, that poverty decreased, Madam Speaker, from 38% to 28.8%, while indigent poverty decreased from 10% to 3.1%, Madam Speaker. That is between 2008-2009 in comparison to what it was when the United Workers' Party left office in 2000. Madam Speaker, and that same report outlined some of the baggage, Madam Speaker, which caused them to form the conclusion that the Dominica Labour Party was in fact, or had in fact taken, or had in fact reduced the rate of unemployment and poverty in a very crucial period. Now remember, Madam Speaker, during that period, the United Workers' Party was saying to us that between 1995 and 2000, money was meeting money. It means, Madam Speaker, that you didn't have time to finish your July salary before August money came. And so you had money fighting in your pocket for it, begging you, spend me please, Madam Speaker, because your pocket had too much money in it. Money meeting money, Madam Speaker. At the same time, Madam Speaker, they left a debt to the local private sector of over $2 million, Madam Speaker, in terms of invoices and building materials. It was more than that. For the private sector. A choking up of the economy, Madam Speaker. Because that is money, 53 million, Madam Speaker, I've been corrected. $53 million being owed to the private sector in 2000, Madam Speaker, at a time. And 25 million, Madam Speaker, to Social Security, at a time when money was fighting man pocket, begging you to spend me, please, if you don't mind, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, a little later on in the presentation, I will show you, in that same period, when we came in, we met a number of land acquisition debts that were not paid. A number of estates that were acquired by the government, including Union Estate, including Hillsborough Estate, Charlotte Valley Estate, the one in London Dairy Estate. There is one in Shiro Del Bayou, yeah, Dr. McBayou, the Shillingford one, I think. Yeah, Madam Speaker. Now, all that, Madam Speaker, if money was meeting money, and there was so much money, why didn't you give the private sector and the local economy an opportunity to breathe, Madam Speaker? 50 million would have made a huge difference to the economy of this country, because the private sector would be able to invest more and employ more people, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, it takes me to the point. And there are other indicators, Madam Speaker, that made it happen. Because, Madam Speaker, this government, this Labour Party government, has always been truthful and honest to the people of Dominica. Whether in terms of the economy, in terms of finance, in terms of foreign relations, in terms of grant received, Madam Speaker. And that was brought to the fore in 2005, when we were under a structural adjustment program. And we went on a campaign in 2005, saying to the people of Dominica that things are bad. And there is a great possibility that things could get worse, Madam Speaker. At this time, we had reduced their salaries. We had imposed the destabilization levy, Madam Speaker. We had tremendous difficulties, Madam Speaker. The only thing we did not do at the time was to send public officials home, Madam Speaker. And we're very honest and open with the people of Dominica, and we told them that that was likely to happen, and brace yourself. But if you give us the opportunity, we will fix it, Madam Speaker. And the people of Dominica put their confidence in us, Madam Speaker, and gave us the mandate in 2005, Madam Speaker. And we began turning things around, that they gave us a second mandate in 2009, Madam Speaker. And we have seen the benefits of that, Madam Speaker. And I'm sure that come next time around, they'll give us a third mandate to continue to govern the affairs of this country, Madam Speaker. Because we have done very well. We have done extremely well, Madam Speaker, especially when it comes to cushioning the impact of those economic challenges for the less fortunate, the underprivileged in our society, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, unlike the opposition, when you go on TV, people watching you in your face, and you are the Arawak Theatre, and you're watching people in their face, and you're saying to them that if there is a budget, you will build a 5-star hotel, eco hotel, in the Carib territory, Madam Speaker. I mean, for how much? Who's going to build it? Where are you going to build it in the Carib territory? Government have land in the Carib territory. Who's going to build it? We got the Moroccans to assist us with building a hotel, Madam Speaker. We're working with the Chinese to see if they can build a hotel in public works, Madam Speaker. Where the money going to come from to build the 5-star hotel in the Caribbean territory within a year? Because the budget is a 1-year cycle. So let's say 5 years, Madam Speaker. You have to get the land, prepare the land, you have to get the plans, you have to... Madam Speaker, it takes you 3 years from conception, from the time you conceive the idea, to the time you can put the first cornerstone, Madam Speaker. From the time you can put the first cornerstone, Madam Speaker, it takes you 3 to 4 years. And to add to that, Madam Speaker, and Ashton, I hope you pick that up, that they're going to teach the Caribbean people how to do gold art, jewelry, gold arts, and pearls, and silver, and emerald, and diamonds, and jade. That is what they're going to teach the Caribbean people to do, Madam Speaker. Now, Olasaka Soti. Where are you going to get this in the Liberia law then? Madam Speaker, they have a river in the east. Jono try to look for gold that he can get in Castles. Every Saturday, Jono looking for gold in Liberia law. Up to this day. Where do I go? Every Saturday, I have a group of little boys and girls in Liberia law. They're looking for gold. I remember he brought a display, some red little stone they pick up, he come and say, well, look, we find it now. When you check the thing, Madam Speaker, some little call out stone him and get in the river, he says gold, Liberia law, Madam Speaker. And for years, the people of Castles looking for gold, Jono, in Liberia law. And you can find out one piece of law. But the United Workers' Party going to make a factory of them now, where they're going to manufacture gold, diamond, jade, and pearl, Madam Speaker. You're watching a people, Madam Speaker, in their face. Huh? And people watching you, Madam Speaker. And you can tell that to a people, Madam Speaker. And you have these cultists, they're clapping, yeah, Madam Speaker. Don't do that to the people of Dominica, Madam Speaker. And it's something about the international airport, Madam Speaker. Oh yes, they're going to build an international airport in 1 year or in 5 years, whichever, Madam Speaker. No, Madam Speaker, when you're going to build your house, after 3 years, if you don't build, you have to resubmit the plan again for plan approval. You're going to build an international airport, Madam Speaker. Where are you going to build it? With what you're going to build it? Where the money coming from, Madam Speaker? How you can watch, and that's why I make the comparison, Madam Speaker, with us. They're not even close to government yet, Madam Speaker. In spite of the fact that I saw Reginald Clinton driving a black vehicle like the Prime Minister owned. And I hear your bodyguards like the Prime Minister, Madam Speaker. So in his mind, he's already Prime Minister of Dominica. In his head, Madam Speaker. I saw him pause, I didn't recognize. I know you have a little silver Suzuki. I saw him pause at a funeral. You have a black Jeep, Madam Speaker. Just like Honorable carried on. And Madam Speaker, he have bodyguards around us and walking up and down the place with Madam Speaker. So he's already thinking in his madness that he's already Prime Minister of Dominica, Madam Speaker. And you're watching people in their face and to tell them that in 5 years, you're going to build a 5-star hotel, no money. In 5 years, you're going to build an international airport, no money, Madam Speaker. The other interesting one, Madam Speaker, is he's saying that he's going to be able to secure 20% more grant than this government can do. No, Madam Speaker, 20% more grant. Madam Speaker, you don't just pick up your briefcase and go to a country and say, I come for grant. You cannot pick up your briefcase one morning, jump on a plane, and go to a prime and say, I come for grant, Madam Speaker. It doesn't work that way, Madam Speaker. The amount of grant funding that this government has brought into this country, I challenge any government before or any government after to bring in half of what we have brought in terms of grant in this country, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, we have been able to obtain those grants because of our sincerity and because of our relationship with those countries. People don't give you grant because they like you. And, well, I mean, if they like him more than Scary, then I don't know about that. I know the Prime Minister, Madam Speaker. I don't see nothing to attract anybody to Reginald Clinton anyway, so I don't know how he figure that these people in this country. And where are you going? Where can you go for grant these days? Who have grant those days, Madam Speaker? Every traditional partner we had are reducing their monetary grants to us and giving it back to us in terms of technical support and technical advice, Madam Speaker. You're going to go to Venezuela and Maduro will give you 20% more grant than he gave to Roosevelt Scarrett, Madam Speaker. And you're going to go to China after all what you said about the Venezuelan government. After all the assistance that they gave us, Madam Speaker. You call them terrorists. You say they come to bomb the country in Dominica, Madam Speaker. And you really believe you will go to Caracas and come back with your briefcase with 20% more grant than the Roosevelt Scary can do it? You really believe that, Madam? And you can go to China too. After all you said, Madam Speaker, you had you workers beating up Chinese on the road in Masak, Madam Speaker. When the fella, knocked the Chinese fell on the road because he was upset because he couldn't find a job on the road, Madam Speaker. You believe the people don't know that? And you're going to go to them and tell them you come for grant? It doesn't work that way, Madam Speaker. There has to be sincerity. You have to build a relationship, Madam Speaker. You can't be talking to the Taiwanese in the day and talking to the Chinese in the night, or talking to the Chinese in the night and the Taiwanese in the day. People don't take you seriously. You're not serious, Madam Speaker. And you believe China is 7 hours a day away from the United States? No, Madam Speaker, they have the embassy here, they have their people here. And these people, Madam Speaker, know more what's happening inside of your country than even you yourself inside of your country. So, to sit, Madam Speaker, and to watch people in their face, and to deceive them to that extent, Madam Speaker, something has to be seriously wrong with you. And you really have to be living in Wonderland, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there's a few more, you know, Madam Speaker. Oh, he said, Madam Speaker, as soon as I win, Carnival Cruise Line will come back. Yeah. As soon as we win, Carnival Cruise Line will come back. So we're going to arrest Carnival Cruise Line in Miami, tie their hand behind their back, and bring them back. Madam Speaker. But how, Ian? Well, Ian, how are you going to bring Carnival Cruise Line back? The Minister of Tourism. Madam Speaker, this thing takes painful negotiations, weeks and days and months, Madam Speaker. And these people don't work with you because they like to see you. It's about the bottom line, Madam Speaker. And to tell the people of Dominica that as you win, you go in Miami and you will come back with American crews and handcuffs behind their back and bring them back to Dominica, Madam Speaker. And you're watching the people, Madam Speaker, and people still clapping, tap, 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 tap. Brad Linton, Angelo Allen, Matt Peltier, Carliton Baptist, Madam Speaker. Tap, 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 yeah, and that's the best thing they ever hear, Madam Speaker. That is the best budget they ever hear, because Leonard Clinton said going to arrest American Airlines in Miami, Madam Speaker. Best budget they ever heard, Madam Speaker. And, Madam Speaker, they're also going to be making $200 million from livestock. Well, that's the classical one. He didn't say which livestock. He didn't say goats, Madam Speaker. Because we debunked the goat in St. Joseph, Madam Speaker. We dealt with it goat. So they can't say goat. They can't say goat. Well, I don't know what size cow you need to make $200 million a year from cow meat. I don't know, Madam Speaker. I cannot tell you. So we had to bring elephant and buffaloes, Madam Speaker, and hippopotamus too. I mean, Madam Speaker, what kind of animals you going to be killing or selling, Madam Speaker? We said we have our abattoir. You can see the abattoir there. We said we'll do pork and we'll do poultry. And last year, Madam Speaker, it's outlined in the budget. They're asking where is the growth? But the growth in the last year's budget. You didn't expect us to come back and repeat the same thing we said in the budget of last year, this year, Madam Speaker. But if you go back, Madam Speaker, to our last year's budget, you will see exactly what plans we have for the livestock industry, Madam Speaker. But not I tell you one thing. It's all well and good, but we have to be aware of predial larceny. That is a problem that farmers in this country are facing. And it's a crucial problem, Madam Speaker. And predial larceny is stealing, handling of stolen goods, Madam Speaker, stolen farm products, Madam Speaker. And when I called the warning in St. Joseph, Madam Speaker, they hanged me for 3 weeks. When I was warning the young lady, and I'll be careful where you get these things from, because I could land you into trouble. Because you're participating in a criminal offense, Madam Speaker. They hang me. All sorts of meaning they could find, Madam Speaker. National Council of Women came after me. They called for the Honourable Minister to fire me as a minister. They asked the United Nations, don't let me come back, don't let me pass through the United States, Madam Speaker, because of what I had said about women and how I degrade women and how I denigrate women. A simple warning. And that's why I vexed with the Senator, Madam Speaker. Because she knew what I was talking about. And she had called her colleagues and said, leave Reggie alone. Reggie, know what he's talking about. Let me and Reggie deal with our business. Don't get involved in that. That's what she had to say. Don't get involved in my business and Reggie. Let us talk, because I know what he's talking about and he knows what he's talking about. But at the end of the day, by the time they finish, Madam Speaker, everybody knows this story about the committee. It's not me that set it up, Madam Speaker. It's them that put the business outside. It's not me, Madam Speaker. I'm innocent, Madam Speaker. It was not me, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, so this is what I'm saying to you. That this thing they had on Tuesday, that Tuesday, Madam Speaker, that was being dishonest, deceitful, disrespectful to the people of Dominica, Madam Speaker. because they know whatever they're talking about in that forum they had was impossible, and it could never happen, and it would never happen, Madam Speaker. So I just needed to make that point, that this thing was no budget, Madam Speaker. To file a budget response. What Hector John attempted to do, the leader of the opposition, he came in and he spoke after, but he couldn't handle the material, Madam Speaker. And to come here and to say that Salsbury has never gotten anything from this government, Madam Speaker. Well, first of all, he said he didn't see Salsbury in the budget. But I don't know who he's in the budget. But then to say that they had never gotten anything, Madam Speaker, the most significant thing that has happened to the people of Salsbury is the water on Grand Savant, Madam Speaker. And everything else that happened in the Salsbury constituency, Madam Speaker, in the 5 years of UWP and in the 15 years of Dominica Labour Party, the best thing that happened to the people of Salsbury, Madam Speaker, was to get a water supply that is safe and reliable for drinking, Madam Speaker. Right. And, Madam Speaker, when we were signing the contract for that project, the leader of the opposition, member for Salsbury, was invited to come to the signing ceremony, Madam Speaker. He was invited. The ceremony was at 10 o'clock, but I think it was on Wednesday morning, Madam Speaker, 10 o'clock or Tuesday, whatever day it was. The gentleman didn't show up because he was not interested in no water for nobody from Salsbury, Madam Speaker. He didn't see it as being important, Madam Speaker. In fact, I understood. I didn't see him. I heard he was by Charlo, Madam Speaker, drinking Guinness, as usual, Madam Speaker, in the middle of Roseau, on a day when he should be at the financial center, witnessing the signing of a contract that would bring much, much, much relief to his constituents. And 2 weeks ago, Madam Speaker, we went on tour. We went to look at the tank, a tank that the government is spending $2.5 million for the construction of a water tank, a 60,000 gallon water tank, Madam Speaker, and to run the pipe in so the person from Salsbury and Grand Savant could have potable water. But he was there, Madam Speaker. He showed up. Well, I don't know, he saw Shanks pass up, but Shanks was working for Dawasco. So Shanks was doing his work, Madam Speaker. But he saw Shanks pass up, he followed. He even gave me a watermelon, Madam. He gave me a watermelon. I gave it to the guys from Dawasco. I didn't eat it. I gave the guys from Dawasco, Madam Speaker. I don't take any chances, Madam Speaker. Man promised to shoot, Madam. Who have to die? Who have to die? No, Madam Speaker. No. I don't take no chances with that, Madam Speaker. So I let the fellas from Dawasco. I withdraw, Madam Speaker. I withdraw that I don't want to die, Madam Speaker. I withdraw that I don't want nobody to kill me in food, or in drink, or in vegetables, Madam, or in fruits, Madam Speaker. Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Speaker. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Madam Speaker. I withdraw, Madam Speaker. So, and he was there, Madam Speaker. And we told him then that the next tank, we're going to build a tank in Monrachet for the people of Kulbich and Monrachet, Madam Speaker. And he comes to the Parliament. He says that this government has done nothing for the people of Salisbury. School bus transportation, where is Bentley? We spend over $7,000 a month providing transportation for the children of Salisbury to go to school, Madam Speaker. The gentleman comes here, bold-faced to the Dominican people, Madam Speaker, and tell the Dominican people that this government has done nothing for the people of Salisbury, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me just go to some of the works, Madam Speaker, being undertaken by the Ministry of Housing, Madam Speaker. And outside of the National Employment Program, Madam Speaker, I see the Housing Revolution as another flagship project, Madam Speaker, implemented by the Dominica Labour Party government, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I can say to you, Madam Speaker, that to date, Madam Speaker, we have regularized 313 Dominicans, Madam Speaker, have been given an opportunity to own their own land at $1 a square foot. And that is the program, Madam Speaker, the United Workers' Party is saying to the people of Dominica that if by chance we get into government, this program will be no more. We're going to stop it, Madam Speaker. That's what they say to the people of Dominica. Madam Speaker, over 190 persons have benefited from reduction in the price of land, Madam Speaker. Right there in Point Michel, the United Workers' Party was offering the people of Point Michel land at $14 a square foot, Madam Speaker. $14 a square foot. The Labour Party came in and reduced that to $7.25 a square foot for the people of Point Michel, Madam Speaker. And when people in Green Valley, squatters, they were asked to pay $5 a square foot of land in Green Valley in Point Michel, Madam Speaker. We reduced it for them to $1. In Portsmouth, 51 families, Madam Speaker, who was struggling since 1995, even when Mike was there, before 1995. Struggling, Madam Speaker, They were squatters. The United Workers' Party came in and they put a $5 a square foot land for these people, Madam Speaker, and they couldn't touch it. This government, Madam Speaker, reduced that to the people of chance because an impoverished community to $1 a square foot, Madam Speaker. And the United Workers' Party promises that if they get into government, they're going to turn this around. Lots, Madam Speaker. Lots, Madam Speaker. You know everybody wants a government lot. Everybody wants to buy a lot from the government. They want to buy from the private sector. Why? Because the government has made housing lots affordable for the people of this country, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, 318 lots were allocated, Madam Speaker, over a 5-year period, including 40 from 2013, 2014, Madam Speaker. Houses, Madam Speaker, in the Caribbean territory. We just handed over, Honorable Grano, the last 6 houses under the Chinese housing program, Madam Speaker. The last 6 out of 27, plus those under the Venezuelan program, Madam Speaker, plus those in Bellevue, Chopin, Madam Speaker, in Hillsborough Gardens, Madam Speaker, in Portsmouth, in Chance, Madam Speaker, the Petro Casas, Madam Speaker, 40 to the people of Grand Bay, Roseau North, Trafalgar, Chance, Madam Speaker, free of charge. Free of charge. The United Workers' Party said when they come in, there'll be no such thing. They will retool the people. How are you going to retool these people, Madam Speaker? A lady with 7 children, Madam Speaker, how are you going to retool her to do what? Madam Speaker, before, and she's going to work until buy a house? And they say they're going to have a house bank, Madam Speaker? So it will be easy under them to buy a house like you're buying a car. So you cannot walk into the house bank and say, I come for a house, and they'll sell you a house, Madam Speaker. It doesn't work that way, Madam Speaker. But that is what the Dominica Labour Party has done to relieve the poverty on the plight of the people of this country, Madam Speaker. And that is what we'll continue to do as outlined in the budget presented by the Prime Minister last week, Madam Speaker. Home renovation, Madam Speaker. Last year, we were at 3,113. This year, Madam Speaker, we had 3,916. 916 families, Madam Speaker, have benefited under the housing revolution, costing this government, Madam Speaker, over $25 million, Madam Speaker, to assist the poor people of this country to put a decent roof over their heads, Madam Speaker, and to put a decent washroom in their house, Madam Speaker. And I can say to you, Madam Speaker, that since the announcement of the Prime Minister of the washroom program, 87 washrooms have been built, Madam Speaker. 87 washrooms have been built under the initiative announced by the leader of the Dominica Labour Party, Minister of Finance, Roosevelt Skerrit. And I can say to them, Madam Speaker, that there is money in this year budget for the continuation and the expansion of that program, Madam Speaker, because we see it as important. And Madam Speaker, what about it is, you're talking about replacing pit latrines, but what about the people who never had a latrine now? There are some people who never had that, okay? And they have to be provided for in this budget, Honorable McIntyre, to ensure that our people can live in some decency and some dignity. And you're saying to the people of Dominica that when you get into the program, in fact, I'm going to try to paint all those houses so he won't recognize them. Because it seemed to me that them men will have reaping by taking all the plywood on people's house. So I have to make sure people get paint and paint their houses so the United Workers' Party will not recognize that these houses were built under the housing revolution, so they won't touch these people, Madam Speaker. And Speaker, Government Housing Loans Board, you're talking about duty-free building material. We know what happened under that program. The people who were supposed to benefit, it never reached them, Madam Speaker. The importers were the ones who benefited from that program and not the would-be homeowner. And what we do, Madam Speaker? We found money, we put at the aid bank at 5%. We found money, we put at the Government Housing Loans Board at 4%. And Madam Speaker, we found money, $10 million from Petro Carib. When I called the lady at the aid bank, she said that money has been exhausted. There is no, in fact, they overplayed that budget by $2 million. So they have to find an addition, and they have committed themselves to an additional $2 million, Madam Speaker, on that program, because people were rushing and running to the program because they saw relief, Madam Speaker, with this low mortgage interest. And so, Madam Speaker, we've been able to do 204 homes, 49 from the aid bank, 51 from the Government Housing Loans Board, and 104 under the $10 million given concessionary financing for mortgages, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, these are some of the interventions that we have made that today we can say for sure that we know that the rate of poverty has in fact gone down, because housing is a major component of the standard of living of any people, Madam Speaker. And we're confident and we're happy and we're satisfied that we have done all we could to ensure, Madam Speaker, that our people live it with some decency, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, we can go further. We have been paying for lands that we acquire. Madam Speaker, over the last 5 years, we have paid out over $13 million for land acquisition, Madam Speaker. 13 million. Just at the end of this financial year, we paid out $4.7 million for lands acquired for national development and for development in this country, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, under the housing program, under the housing revolution, many people are quite asking if it will continue. Yes, the housing revolution will continue. And we'll be adding a new component to the housing revolution, Madam Speaker, which is the construction of 1,500 homes for needy persons, Madam Speaker. And very shortly, on the passage of this budget, we'll outline to the country exactly how that's going to be done. But there is $10 million, Madam Speaker, in the estimates for that particular program. So the housing revolution, Madam Speaker, is there to stay. And I've said on many occasions that it will be expanded to meet the needs of the people of Dominica. Madam Speaker, another major component of this government's thrust to improve the standard of living for the people of Dominica is the whole issue of making potable water accessible to the people of Dominica. And government, Madam Speaker, has invested very, very heavily, Madam Speaker, in the water sector. In fact, Madam Speaker, my records show me that between 2000 and now, the government has spent over $180 million, Madam Speaker, in providing potable water to the people of Dominica. And my colleague, Ivor Stevenson, the member for Grand Fund, has explained to you exactly where these water projects were and the impact that these water projects have had on the lives of the people of Dominica, Madam Speaker. But in more recent times, Madam Speaker, we have had the upgrade of the area, water area 1, Madam Speaker, to the tune of some $250,000. The entire project is a $20 million project, Madam Speaker. In Benz, we're talking about $4.2 million for the Benz project, Madam Speaker. In Grand Fund, Shufford, we're talking about $3.2 million. In Grand Bay, Madam Speaker, we recently replaced the pipes in Grand Bay at a cost of $500,000, Madam, in the area, Madam Speaker. In Savannah, in Scott's Head, we're looking to spend another $1.3 million to bring water to Scott's Head, Madam Speaker. We also have to extend the water in Point Michelle, United States, Madam Speaker. And as I said before, we're spending out $2.5 million on bringing water to Grand Savannah, Madam Speaker. In Penville and Vacars, Madam Speaker, we spend another $1.2 million for Vacars, Madam Speaker. And so all over the country, Madam Speaker, the government has been seeking to improve the quality of life for the people of Dominica by providing them with but you never hear, the opposition never speak about those things, Madam Speaker. They don't talk about no housing, Madam Speaker. They don't talk about water, Madam Speaker. They don't talk about geothermal energy, Madam Speaker, which we believe are some of the growth sectors in the country that needs to be addressed by any serious government, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, but all this would not be possible had it not been for the support of the staff of the Ministry of Housing, the WASCO, Madam Speaker, the Land and Service Department, the Evaluation Unit, Madam Speaker. All these divisions of the ministry, Madam Speaker, have collaborated very well to ensure that the government would execute its programs, with some challenges, of course, Madam Speaker, but I'm happy to say that we have in fact succeeded in bringing some much needed relief, Madam Speaker, to the residents of this country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have said a lot about the measures in this budget, Madam Speaker. This has been articulated. Madam Speaker, and I got a document, Madam Speaker, from the Ministry of Finance, Madam Speaker, which tells me, Madam Speaker, that over 64 items, Madam Speaker, have been zero rated when we introduced the VAT, Madam Speaker. And the introduction of the VAT at 15%, the United Workers' Party was planning to introduce VAT, although you were there in 1999, at 17%. So when the opposition is now crying about the rate of VAT, they intended, Madam Speaker, to impose VAT of 17%, Madam Speaker. We did 15%. And they did not intend, Madam, and we, Madam Speaker, removed a number of other taxes, Madam Speaker, so we could introduce the VAT. Remove, I think, the consumption tax, remove the sales tax, remove the hotel occupancy tax, and remove the entertainment tax, Madam Speaker, and just come up with one broad 15% on VAT, Madam Speaker. And the intention of this government, as stated by the PM, is to continue to look at reforming the tax structure in this country, Madam Speaker. So eventually, Madam Speaker, we may well find ourselves getting rid and eliminating the income tax. Because, Madam Speaker, when we took the first measures, Madam Speaker, tax reform in 2008, 2009, when we increased and reduced what we did, Madam Speaker, over 1,498 persons, Madam Speaker, were removed off the tax list. And many of those were public officers, Madam Speaker. So apart from the persons who were not paying before, by the first intervention in 2008, 2010, Madam Speaker, we removed 1,400 persons from the tax list, tax bracket, Madam Speaker. And in this measure, Madam Speaker, that we're debating now, we will remove another 1,508 persons, Madam Speaker. So this will give us a total of 3,600 persons that will be removed from paying income tax between 2008, Madam Speaker, and 2015, Madam Speaker. So to say that this is the highest tax country in the world and tax like fire and Dominica under the heavy burden of tax, Madam Speaker, we've been reducing the tax. We've been giving people more spending money in their pockets, Madam Speaker. And the intention, as announced by the Prime Minister, is to engage Qatar and to see how we can further reform the tax regime, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we can continue to remove more persons, Madam Speaker, on the tax list, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the issue of zero rating, apart from this 64 items, Madam Speaker, and it includes basic items. So I can't mention the old 64, but flour, oil, smoke herring, sugar, milk, raisins, Madam Speaker, laundry detergents, candles, snack bags, Madam Speaker, toilet paper, sanitary towels, napkins, Madam Speaker. All these items are zero rated. They do not carry any VAT, Madam Speaker. They don't carry any VAT. And these are some of the commodities consumed more. Pig trotters, goat meat. Goat meat, Madam Speaker. Goat meat. Yes, I didn't see the meat. No, I look in. Yeah, goat meat. No VAT on goat meat, Madam Speaker. No VAT on goat meat, Madam Speaker. It's right there. Meat of goat and goat is the same thing. I don't know. It must be something different. So I want to know, Madam Speaker, if meat of goat and goat meat means the same thing. And if it means the same thing, there is no VAT. No VAT. So when I call on people to consume more goat meat and cow meat, I was right, Madam Speaker, because goat meat cheaper. Because goat meat doesn't carry, I don't see cow meat there. Meat of bovine animal, fresh, chill. Bovine is what? So cow haven't got VAT either. There is some other thing. So there is no VAT. Oh, that's why who like cow meat like it and who like goat meat like it, Madam Speaker. There is no VAT on, so eat meat. It does eat meat, cow and goat, Madam Speaker. There is no choice. If you like cow, eat cow. You like goat, eat goat, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 65 items, Madam Speaker, zero rated, Madam Speaker. And now we're zero rating disposable diapers, Pampers, and baby wipes, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, what's wrong with that? We have an aging population, Madam Speaker. We have an aging population. We have all these elderly homes coming up, infirmary, personal growth home, personal home for the aged, St. Gerald's Ministry, Mao Senior Citizens Home. These are agencies, Madam Speaker. So there is a need. And Dr. McIntyre gave a very good
of Trade.
The Minister of Trade, Madam Speaker, gave us a very good description of what happens to these people, Madam Speaker. And with their bed sores, you have a scientific name calling it. How you call it? Huh? Decubital ulcers, Madam Speaker. Decubital ulcers, Madam Speaker. It's bed sores, Madam Speaker. Because Pampers are expensive, 20% duty on this thing, Madam Speaker. And we have to care for our elderly citizens. Now, Thompson Fontaine call it a diaper budget, Madam Speaker. Thompson can say what he wants. But the leader of the opposition, Madam Speaker, should not follow Thompson Fontaine and ridicule and laugh at the idea of removing the VAT on disposable diapers for the elderly people, Madam Speaker. And it seemed to me, Madam Speaker, that the United West Party have a fundamental problem with elderly people. Yeah. A fundamental problem with elderly people, Madam Speaker. Because they call them greedy. Yeah. All the people under SWK, Madam Speaker, they call them greedy people. All the persons, Madam Speaker, who receive building assistance, they call them greedy people. And they say these people have to be retooled, Mr. Glorious. So all your yes we have to be retooled. Okay? And let them take care of themselves, because they have the United Workers' Party is proposing that all these people benefiting from the benevolence of the Dominica Labour Party, because we understand. Madam Speaker, I live with my grandmother. I saw her die. She died in my hands. I'm sorry some people were out on vacation and their mother died and they didn't know, Madam Speaker. I'm not sure if some people were not in the country when their mother passed, Madam Speaker, because they were on 21 days vacation, Madam Speaker. Left the old lady there, the lady there, the elderly lady sick, Madam Speaker. And when they leave nothing in the will for you, vex and making noise because you don't leave nothing in a will for you. I would leave nothing for you, Madam Speaker, in the will. The lady was sick there. You left the lady and went gallivanting. You went on tour in Europe, in America. It doesn't go Africa, Madam Speaker. You out there. The lady's there calling for you because she knows the thing coming. I'm Dr. McIntyre. Well, you're a vet, you know those things. You know,
Please remember the ministers.
The Minister for Trade, Madam Speaker. Right. He knows about these things. That's when you want to see all your children around you, to get your last hug and your last little prayer, and to whisper a little secret in your ears, Madam Speaker. That's what our grandparents and our parents do for us. In that condition, Madam Speaker. You know. So if you, as a bad boy, and you allow your mother to die in grief without seeing you, don't pass that on all old people. That is your problem. You have to deal with it, Madam Speaker. But you cannot punish everybody for it, Madam Speaker. You can't punish everybody for it. So what is the problem, Madam Speaker, you have with giving senior citizens 80, 89, 90 years old a free pamper, Madam Speaker? What is the problem with that, Madam Speaker? In fact, those things should be being donated to those homes to take care of these people, Madam Speaker. You call them greedy. You say they're not needy, Madam Speaker. You say you will stop the program, no more caring for elderly people by the government. I'm Lennox Linton and Thompson Fountain, Madam Speaker. And Isaac Baptist, all of them, Madam Speaker. All of them, because, Madam Speaker, if a member of yours does something and you don't admonish him, then it means you're in support of what he said. Right. So if he criticizes the budget as being a budget that is sensitive to our senior citizens, to our elderly persons, and you don't stop him, it means that you agree with him, Madam Speaker. And so I blame it on the leader and the leadership of the United West Party for attempting once again to ridicule a Minister of Trade, to ridicule our senior citizens. You have people running for that past 70 years. Pray God that they will not need diapers, Madam Speaker. You have Ron Green there with something, I know, 80, Peter, what is his age? 76. Senator Ron Green, 76 years old, Madam Speaker. You don't know what can happen to you, Dr. Mark. In one night, you're gone. One stroke, you're done. Pampers for you, Madam Speaker. So a measure that you should be embracing. Madam, to people at the infirmary. Madam, to people at the grotto home. And these people too. Don't they have a right, Madam Speaker, to enjoy a little bit of the spoils of this country?
Just 1 minute, please. I'm seeing somebody upstairs busy putting chairs. I don't know why, and I wish the person would stop. I don't know who is this person doing that. Sometimes I wonder what's going on, you know. Where are the police to stop the person? Now the person is running away. Security. And that was what I was talking about this morning, for somebody to be following the president, coming in, the person, and with a big bag, and nobody stopping the person. I mean, we're just not taking security seriously. I just looking around and this person is busy putting chairs all upstairs, and now that I raise an alarm, the person is gone. And there's no police upstairs to tell them to stop. Continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, so that's the point I'm making. I mean, what has our elderly people done to United West Party? Yes, they pray for us. Yes, they love Skerrit because Skerrit have their best interests at heart. So yes, they pray for the Prime Minister, they pray for the Dominica Labour Party. And we have blessings from these people, and we'll continue to win. They'll continue to support us, Madam Speaker. But you cannot eliminate them and write them off. They're not dead yet, Madam Speaker. And we have a right to take care of our senior citizens, Madam Speaker. Yeah, Madam Speaker, on the issue of the baby wipes, Madam Speaker, they're laughing at that too. In fact, they say, oh, is because the Prime Minister have a baby, so he reduced the VAT on baby wives. But if you say the Prime Minister is the richest man in Dominica, then why would he want to remove baby wives for himself? It doesn't make sense. And I'm sure that many of us here can buy our own baby wives. And in all fairness to the senator from St. Joseph, she applauded that one. I saw her. She was doing kind of in secret. She didn't want them to see she was clapping. But she was in fact tapping behind that column there, Madam Speaker. You saw her, Peter? Yeah, she was happy. And she had every reason to be. That's a young lady, Madam Speaker, who bought about 4 or 5 children. And she knows what it is to have to buy baby wives for 4 or 5 children. And she's just 27 years old. She's just 27, Madam Speaker. So she understands what it means to have to be buying baby. I know people don't buy diaper again and toilet paper to wipe children. People don't do that again. Those days are gone. So, Madam Speaker, she applauded the measure for good reasons, Madam Speaker, because she's a mother. She's a big mother too. And she knows what it is, Madam Speaker, to have to go and constantly buy baby wipes for 4 children, Madam Speaker. She knows what it is. Especially you're a young lady, Madam Speaker. People 45 have children. It doesn't matter. But you're a nice young lady like you and so on, at your age and so on. You know, you want your baby wife. So, Madam Speaker, I agree with those measures. As for the other measure I want to applaud is the one for the allowance, Madam Speaker, to the person 70 years and over. My constituency, Madam Speaker, is made up of fishermen and farmers. And these people work intermittently in construction, fishermen, farmers, construction. And the AG knows that he's from up there. And so, Madam Speaker, many of the elderly people above 70 in my constituency would require that kind of relief. In fact, when I go and visit, Madam Speaker, that's one of the issues they raise with me on a constant basis, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, I welcome, and we all welcome, Madam Speaker, this allowance, Madam Speaker. In fact, I've begun collecting my names, and by Friday I should have all the names to send to the Ministry of Finance so they could vet them, and we can roll the program by the 1st of October as discussed in the budget, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I won't go into all the measures that were announced in the budget. I think we'll have an opportunity to go on the road.
Your time is up.
Give me 10 minutes, my constituency. Give me 15. Give me 15.
I move that the honourable member be given an additional 15 minutes to complete his presentation on the budget.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
How many? Okay, it has been moved and seconded that the member gets a further 15 minutes to complete contribution. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Continue, please.
Yeah, so Madam Speaker, I mean, I would like to see more people speak out on the measures in the budget. Wahoo has come out, Chris Augustus has come out and he has spoken about it. The Tongue fellow has spoken about it. The Council Agent has spoken about it. But what I would like to see is the professionals in this country now, the economists and the former public officers, the former cabinet secretaries and the former permanent secretaries, who should go out to the public, not taking side whether you support the government or you don't support the government, but to tell the people of Dominica that this manifesto presented by the United Workers' Party in the Lennox in Wonderland program, Madam Speaker, should go out there and to speak to the people of Dominica. Not because you're retired from the public service that you don't have a responsibility and a right. The same way you have a right to go and give communion. Some of them have turned lay preachers and lay pastors. You give your communion, you go and visit the sick. You must go and visit Dominican people and tell them that this thing was a circus and it makes no sense, it's not practical. And to tell them all the merits and the benefits. You don't have to agree at all. Some say there should be more. Yeah, of course, there could be more. There could be more measures, but it's not an election budget. And as we go along, because we're losing, Madam Speaker, at least $10 million in revenue from some of the measures that we have announced. And we have to find it without taxing the people further. So we have to be creative to find it. We have to go out there and collect all the land money or house money and so on. But we have to find this $10 million. Okay? And so I want to see all these professional bodies and so on to go out there and to explain to the people of Dominica the benefits of some of the measures, especially those measures aimed at bringing relief to our senior citizens. These are vulnerable groups of people. These are vulnerable groups of people, and somebody has to look out for them. And if their children don't want to look out for them, don't punish a man or a lady because he doesn't want to look out for his parents. We as a government have a responsibility to do it, and we'll do it with pride, and we'll take joy in doing it. Madam Speaker, because this constituency is okay, we have settled most of the issues that we have had in that constituency. Everybody is happily on board. And we win the seat big time, Madam Speaker, like we always done. I understood that the Workers' Party changing their candidate again, Madam Speaker, because the change that my partner was expecting looked like one man hold all the change. The money come, but man don't see that. And I heard some fellas mortgage pay up in full, Madam Speaker. Everything that's pay up the whole, so I'll pay half and give the partner half. No, man pay off his mortgage in full, Madam Speaker. So no money, no love. So the fella decide, well, boy, that money, the deal I crossed with you, you're not serious. So I understand now they're looking for another candidate, but we'll deal with that at the appropriate time, Madam Speaker. The housing revolution, 31 new homes in the constituency, Madam Speaker, and we've done 68 in terms of home renovation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we were able to, over the last 2 years, to provide transportation for our students from Capuchin to the PSS, some $24,400 being spent on that, and we were able to assist our college students, Madam Speaker, with a $25,000 we received from a corporate citizen, Madam Speaker, and to assist our college students in paying their transportation to college, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the heritage site in Capuchin, and to inform everybody that Heritage Day this year will be in the village of Capuchin in October, and to reassure the Capuchin that we have some work to do on the roads and to beautify the place, and when we meet, meeting on the 7th of August, we'll discuss plans to ensure we host the best Heritage Day ever in this country, just like when it started in 1988. Tukai was the first Heritage Day, and it followed from that, and we're hoping that Capuchin will be all right. We have some work to do, beautification, cleanup. And Mr. Blackmore, we have some work to do on the roads and so on, maintenance work on the roads and so on, but I've been assured that all that will be done in time for that. And part of that activity will be in Kana, Madam Speaker, a heritage site that the government paid over $300,000 for to secure that piece of heritage for the people of Capuchin. The Dominica Labour Party paid off the lady, the owners of the land. Some people say it's a little controversial, we don't care, but at least the government has secured that place and hand it over to the residents of Capuchin so they build an interpretation center for the Ministry of Tourism. We're very grateful for it. We could bring some electricity and so on, Madam Speaker. So we're doing that for Capuchin. Feeder Road, Madam Speaker, a feeder road that this government built for $400,000. Last year we spent another $107 doing some renovation work on that road, Madam Speaker. And Capuchin had not had water, Madam Speaker. We just come to a storage tank, $1.2 million for Capuchin. And we built our resource center, and we built the Allen Carbon Ring Road, Madam Speaker. And the National Trail, Madam Speaker, segment 14, I think, passes right through the village of Capuchin, so that gives us an opportunity to develop our tourism program. And we're working with the Minister of Tourism, who is right next door, to see that can happen, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have a little community there. Ashton, many of your people live there. About 50 Kalinagos living there, Madam Speaker. And when the Prime Minister went in October last year, we noticed the conditions, and he said immediately to move. And that's where we used the housing brigade, Madam Speaker, and we were able to construct, I think, 7 brand new homes for these people. Because when you try repairing those homes and make sure they have their washroom facilities for the first time, washroom and so on, the people are very, very happy, quite comfortable, Madam Speaker. And so if the next candidate that's running against me is from Capuchin, then he has a lot of work to do. If you're from Capuchin, you have a lot of work to do in Capuchin. Fellas, if you're not from Capuchin, I don't know what you're going to do in Clifton, Cottage, Cocoy, and the rest of the hamlets, Madam Speaker. In Clifton, Madam Speaker, we built our resource center, we renovated our clinic, Madam Speaker, we did our basketball court, Madam Speaker, we set up our farmers group, one in Capuchin with 32 members, one in Clifton with 32, and one in Cottage, Madam Speaker. In Cottage, Madam Speaker, we now have our Rounders League on our Lamb playing field, Madam Speaker. We have 6 teams in that league, we play every Sunday. In fact, we have 2 teams, one from Penville and one from Thibault. Madam Speaker, if you talk about Penville is even closer to my constituency than Portsmouth, Madam Speaker. And so we have 2 teams. We played over there last week. So we're doing our playing field. We're now in the process of constructing a washroom, Madam Speaker. And so work is going on, Madam Speaker. The Total Road, Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister for inauguration last year, or earlier this year, promised to complete that road. And we know, I think we've completed it maybe today and to the other end. We spent $185,000 on that road. Madam Speaker, I get criticized for saying that road is too large and you believe it's a city you have in Cottage and so on, but you know, Madam Speaker, beautiful road, nice concrete road, Madam Speaker, and I need to compliment the contractor, Mr. Jeffrey Romain, and his team for being so very diligent and to produce good quality work, Madam Speaker. In Tukarida or Seawall, Madam Speaker, and of course, for those of you who've been to the Feast of St. Anthony, you will admit that it's probably one of the better feasts in the country. It does cost us some money to host it, Madam Speaker, but there's a certain height when you get in life that you cannot drop below a certain standard, and we have attempted to maintain the standard of that feast, and today that feast is getting accolades. In fact, I think the Minister of Tourism is going to put that on his calendar of events as an annual event, Madam Speaker. In Lago, Madam Speaker, we completed the $450,000 sidewalk And as you heard from the Minister for Works, as soon as they finish in Granby, we'll be doing a complete resurfacing of that work from the Portsmouth Market, going right back to Purple Turtle, Madam Speaker. And you can imagine what a piece of work that is going to be when we receive that. It's terrible now, it's bad, but we're being very patient because we know that the works to that is coming. For the rest of the road, you heard the Prime Minister took some flack for chastising Public Works for not diligently executing that project. The monies were made available. We don't want to go back on that. The work was not completed, but the Prime Minister has promised that road will in fact be completed, and I can say to you that it will be completed long before Heritage Day in Capuchin. Madam Speaker, presently we have done 2 roads in Dela, which is a little hamlet in Lago, costing us 194,000, and we're starting the 3rd one, place that have been neglected for years, Madam Speaker, and we have decided to improve the lives of these people. So we're doing the little roads and do the infrastructure, Madam Speaker. And we just completed the bridge, a low-lying bridge. We had to break it down, build a new bridge for 169,000, Madam Speaker. We have the car bridge development, which is my constituency, Madam Speaker. We have the Moroccan Hotel, which is my constituency, and we're hoping that on completion of those 2 projects, that will bring much needed development and income to the persons of the Lago community in particular and the greater north of the country. Madam Speaker, every year we do our elderly lunch, Madam Speaker. That's where we have 2 elderly groups in one in Clifton, I think it's the Blossom Hats, and the St. Anthony one in Savonpai, and every year we take them to the cabins or some place of interest, and we feed them a hot meal, we dance with them, and we play with them. The same thing, senior citizens was. You have to treat these people with a certain level of pride and taste, and we have to do, because we will, those of us who are lucky, we will be like that too. So we mustn't kill ourselves. I mean, fellas so angry those days there, Madam Speaker. Fellas will die before they reach that age, but I'm not dying before I get to my ripe old age, and I want to be treated properly. Because people will remember that when my grandmother had issues, Reggie was there with my granny, so now that Reggie on his crutches, I will, when Reggie on his crutches, arthritis and so on, you know, Madam Speaker, I want to send stone behind me, Madam Speaker. I work too hard, I give so much service to this country. And in my twilight days, I'm meant to be sending stone behind me and pulling my pants and pulling my walking stick in my hand, Madam Speaker. Don't take my walking stick from me. No, Madam Speaker, I'm not going down that road, Madam Speaker. So I'm going to be nice to all senior citizens. Well, and my pampers too, with my pampers too. But you know how that goes, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, these are some of the things that we've been doing in the constituency. And for that last slip of paper there, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wanted to deal a little bit with some of the measures we have in this year's budget, Madam Speaker. Well, we have all read it. As far as the Ministry of Housing is concerned, it's going to take a lot of hard work because we have to bring relief to these people, Madam Speaker. We have another $1 million there for another apartment building in Silver Lake. It can be the first one. We had to build 3 or 4. We promised the people of Silver Lake, Madam Speaker, that we'll start with one. That is completed. We're looking at doing another one, Madam Speaker. Home renovation, we have another $4 million. Carib Territory, there's a balance of $123,000. I decide what to do that. We have another $5 million, Madam Speaker, to continue to pay for acquired lands. Then, Madam Speaker, we have the apartment buildings in Silver Lake and in Bath Estate and in Emsall. Madam Speaker, water supply, we have some money there for that. Sansove, Honorable Jaigo, we have some money in the budget to do the 11 homes in Savonpai for the persons who were threatened by the landslide. And had we moved faster, we should have done this financial year. But based on the hiccups which you know about, we had to move it into this, but that will be done. Dr. Mark, we come into Lily Valley. We have some money there for you for the infrastructure works there. And you also have some land there which we should be allocating very early. And in Cochrane too, and in Toulon, President Toulon, the member for Colliho, we have the lots there, the 45 lots, and we will have to discuss because we're almost ready to go. Dominica already have the money for the lights, Plaque Pier, so we're ready to go with that. We have Plaque Pier, yes. We have $200,000 in the thing to bring the water and the lights up there. So before the end of the year, we should begin to allocate those lots to the people of Colliho. Kelver, the Bells, Penrice, we have money there under the EDF. The member for St. Joseph. So you can begin to tell your people that their water is coming. And Madam Speaker, by the time we complete this, the Bells Penrice, we'll be pretty close to 100% of access to potable water in Dominica. But as you know, Madam Speaker, communities continue to expand, men are going to build higher up, so you will always have to be upgrading and always have to be moving. And that's the sad thing about it, Madam Speaker. Fellas want to go and live on the top of the mountain because it's nice and pretty and tranquil. But then the government must now come in and bring the infrastructure up there for the Madam Speaker. But that's how it is, and we have to do what we have to do, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, these are some of the interventions outlined in this year's budget for the ministry. Georgetown, Ian, you'll see me as soon as we finish the Parliament. Let's go and deal with the Georgetown matter. The land has been surveyed.
Tourism.
The Minister of Tourism, and has been subdivided. We have the lots and so on. So let's talk very early. We're going to take care of Georgetown. I mean, although I passed through Georgetown, nice. I like it. I like it. I like Georgetown. Everybody quiet and happy in Georgetown. The little fellow that went to run against you, I hate you not seen him again. He gone back here, but he's a crazy fellow. You see Ian, you think Ian easy? Ian not easy, but Ian take that so and so, and Ian just fix everything. So, Mr. himself. So, we'll fix that. You can go down and announce to Georgetown, take your microphone. The same way you have to take the microphone and things. Take the microphone again and tell them matter resolved. You know, yeah, tell them matter resolved. So, yeah, everything back on track, right, doggy? You're my boy, you know, you're my partner. Madam Speaker, so, Madam Speaker, I'm satisfied that the Ministry of Housing have in fact done what it was mandated to do. We could always do more, Madam Speaker, but it boils down to the resources that's available, the resources that you have in your hands, Madam Speaker. But to say, Madam Speaker, my biggest challenge is really the roads, and we're on the way to addressing most of these problems, Madam Speaker. We have National Employment Program taking care of us. When we develop the tourism into Karen Capuchin, we should be happy. Madam Speaker, I would like to use this last few minutes to really, really thank the residents of that constituency from Capuchin, Cliff, Cocoye Cottage, Toto, Mopo, Lagon, Savanpai, Monalway, Gilet, Tatan, the Grange, Madam Speaker, for the unwavering support that they have given to me and the Dominica Labour Party over the since 1995. They've been supporting Dominica. We spent some time in opposition to Madam Speaker, but we took our blows, we took our grind, we didn't disrupt the thing, we never walked out of Parliament. We sat in Parliament, we took our blows, Madam Speaker, and that's why we are able to be sitting on this side at this particular time. It's not always easy, Madam Speaker. I mean, I'm not Jesus Christ, and none of us are purport to be Jesus Christ, Madam Speaker. We make mistakes, we make errors sometimes, and sometimes we pay political prices for it too. We get criticized politically, but at the end of the day, the Dominica Labour Party is a family. This is not a team. This is not cricket and football we're playing. This is serious business, Madam Speaker, where we are men of like minds and women of like minds, Madam Speaker. There's a philosophy that pushes the Dominica Labour Party. We believe in the same thing. We have the same objectives. We almost like we grew up together, Madam Speaker. Ambrose and the PM and Toulon, we grew up together as a family, Madam Speaker. And although we have our little internal squabbles and so on, but at the end of the day, we sit around the table and we break bread. And we share our meals and we share our juice and so on, Madam Speaker. And unlike, Madam Speaker, a group of guys, you don't have work to do, so you just figure, let me jump in that Kalaloo, this one jump in that Kalaloo. And it's just a mess. Everybody's saying what they want. There's no cohesion in this opposition, Madam Speaker. Everybody's, I mean, Lennox Clinton read something at the Arawak. You would expect him to give it to Hector John. Let Hector read the same thing. The member for Salsbury, leader of the opposition. But he hide his thing. He don't let John see. Hector don't see that. Hector don't see that. Then up there, you already cannot read. I'm not going to let you contaminate my thing. Because Hector can read, Madam Speaker. And if you know that the pompous Clinton is, he's not going to run his document for Hector to make a mess, a bigger mess of a messy document, Madam Speaker. It's a messy document. You give that to Hector John, those kind of big words that in that, and all those airport and all those hotel lines. That's too big for Hector John, you know, the opposition. Hector can read that, Madam Speaker. So, I mean, it just shows you. Yes, the opposition. But it just shows you, Madam Speaker. When you go and put your hands, Lennox Clinton saying one thing, Thompson Fountain saying another thing, Francis saying another thing. That's a Tower of Babel you're building. You can imagine a cabinet, Madam Speaker. The first cabinet election, when all these doctors and all these lawyers have to take instructions from Lennox Clinton, Madam Speaker, a novice politician that finished school in fourth form, expelled in fourth form, Madam Speaker, doesn't like young people. He calls them prostitutes, Madam Speaker. He calls them terrorists. He calls them, they say they want guns, Madam Speaker. He doesn't like young people. The man tell you, I don't know how to smile. I don't like to smile for people. I'm not a friendly person, so I be. Long time is so I be. I don't like to smile for people. If a joke, I cannot laugh. But you can imagine the first cabinet meeting with Thompson Fountain sitting next to, who will be the Attorney General? With Thompson Fountain sitting next to, whatever. Sitting next to Tikiri, sitting, Tikiri.
You
Yes,
calling those names, eh?
Yes. Okay. Speaker, I mean, just imagine, Madam Speaker, and no, how no? No, where is the airport now? You going to talk about where is the airport? The man there is a tobe, there is a bouillon, Madam Speaker. There is a soup, there is a bouillon, and we in joke, man. That is a joke, Madam Speaker. And I don't believe that from where we came in 2000, from where they put us, it is the same United West Party, Madam Speaker. They can call us whatever team they want. From where they put us, Madam Speaker, in 2000, I do not believe that Dominicans want to go back down that road. And that manifesto that was in that theater, Madam Speaker, at the Arab House of Court on a series, Madam Speaker, that manifesto is a manifesto that is fraught with destruction, Madam Speaker, and going to throw our little sweet Dominica worse than it was, Madam Speaker, into. So I tell people of Dominica that you have a good government, you have a caring, Madam Speaker, and Madam Speaker, I believe that you continue to hold on. Better days are here, Madam Speaker. Where we were, better days are here, and more days are coming, Madam Speaker, because we have the plan, Madam Speaker. We know what we're about. We feel for people. We touch the pulse. This country cannot be run.
If you need more time, ask for it,
Madam Speaker, in conclusion, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, you cannot run this country like it's a shop, Madam Speaker, or a bakery, Madam Speaker. It's not a bakery. It's not about baking bread and selling bread or selling alcohol, Madam Speaker.
5 minutes.
Yes.
5 minutes. I move that 5 minutes be given to the Minister for the final conclusion of his presentation.
Seconder?
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the Minister gets a further 5 minutes to conclude his intervention. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. 5 minutes starts now.
I'm not surprised. Look at me and Walter. I'm from Paybush, you know, Madam Speaker. Yeah, I'm from Paybush and Kulbisri. So, Madam Speaker, so the point we're making, Madam Speaker, now is not the time, Madam Speaker, to tinkle with the progress that this country is making. We know, Madam Speaker, the problems, and Dr. McIntyre came from our meeting, and we know the problems that they have in our sister islands, Madam Speaker. They know the problems that we're having. And when we talk about Dominica economy is the worst in the region, I mean, he's still asleep. Somebody in Wonderland, really, Madam Speaker. We have made progress, Madam Speaker, but we cannot take it to tread very carefully, Madam Speaker, because if we push the wrong button at this particular point in time, there is no telling where this country is going to be headed to, Madam Speaker. And so we have to be sober, Madam Speaker. This, Madam Speaker, you make cake. It's not a pie. A pie is a small cake. A pie and a cake is a cake.
That's right.
Because what they present, Madam, that's not a pie in the sky. That's a big cake, you know, that put up there in the heaven there, Madam Speaker, and expect Dominicans to eat and to chew on it. So, Madam Speaker, we're really hoping that we have made the point in this statement. This is not about an election budget. We had many things in there. If we really wanted to present an election budget to the people of Dominica, there are many things, Madam Speaker, that everywhere they meet us on the street, they would be kissing us, Madam Speaker. Things we could put inside of that budget there. But no, Madam Speaker, we're not playing with the people of Dominica. We take our people very seriously. We've been honest. We've been very open. We've been very straightforward, Madam Speaker. And all we told our people is just to hold on. I have another application for home renovation, home assistant. Your turn will come, and wait a little bit more. Be patient. I know some of you have been waiting for you, but we get in there slowly, Madam Speaker. We're almost at 400 now. Our target was 4,000. Our target was 5,000. Getting closer to that, but it may be more than that now, man, because now, Madam Speaker, people not asking for renovation. They're asking, you know, for a piece for the girls and the boys, because so they want a room now, the kitchen outside. They want to put the kitchen inside. Stop use the foyer different. Now they want a little stove inside and so on. So, Madam Speaker, the taste, people begin to understand what it is a wholesome life. No longer we can believe that is it to have a pit toilet, is it? We dare to boast and say, oh, pit toilet. No, Madam Speaker, we're 30, 40 years behind. And we move forward. But the only party that can move this country forward is the Dominica Labour Party. We have been tried, we've been tested, we're up to the task. The PM is energetic, and you can see young fellas, Madam Speaker, we're ready to hit the road, and we're ready to run. We are committed, Madam. We're not looking for work, Madam Speaker. We were all employed, got into here. We all have our various skills and talents, and we can work, Madam Speaker. We're not looking for a job. We're looking to assist the people of Dominica to develop themselves and to enjoy a better living. May God bless the Dominica Labour Party government. May God bless our country, and may God bless the Dominica Labour Party and the prayer warriors who constantly pray, especially our senior citizens who pray constantly for the success of this government. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.